So, I installed Starfield. I made loads of space for it on my hard drive, which was no mean feat given how big it is. It's pretty weighty. And this is what I consider to be the benefit of having something like Game Pass, even though I am well aware of the fucking issues with something like Game Pass and where that might be going and its place in the industry. But putting that aside, having something like that means that I can try games like this, because I'm not enough of a Bethesda fanboy that I'm just going to buy this game. I probably would have bought it eventually. If it was only on Steam, I would have bought it eventually if it had dropped in price or something. But as everyone's hyping it, as it was on Game Pass, I was obviously going to install it once it got released and give it a go. And so it took a long time removing shit from my hard drive to get it. And then when I did get it, I will say that I was kind of underwhelmed immediately. It looks nice enough, not great, because I wasn't running it on top settings or anything like that. I have a middle of the road PC. I'm not one for really giving a shit about fucking performance and all the rest of it. As long as it plays enough that I don't really notice any discernible difference. You have to get probably pretty bad for me to abandon something based on performance. And my computer runs most things fine, but it took a while to clear that space. And I think that's the sunk cost fallacy for me. That's the sort of thing that pushed me on, is that I'd bothered to fucking free up space in order to try this game. So I was going to try this game, and I had heard people talking about, how long they'd been playing it before it kind of got good or whatever. And I was already a bit like, oh man, I don't know if I want to go for 10, 20, 30 hours before I make my decision on this game. I'm a man of little patience anyway. But very early on, it became obvious. There was the distinct whiff of Bethesda, and it became obvious that this game was a Bethesda game in the same way that Skyrim or Fallout is. And so that didn't really annoy me. I automatically just sort of fell into a line of okay, it's just another Bethesda game. It looks and feels like a Bethesda game. The NPCs look at you and move around kind of like any other Bethesda game. Okay, fine. Now, I feel like that may have been because perhaps I'd convinced myself through what I thought it was going to be, and also perhaps through the marketing that had been given to me and to everyone else by Bethesda, by Microsoft, or whoever else is involved in it, and sort of plugging this, that I thought that there was going to be something different. But really thinking about it, and after playing it, why should I think that there would actually be anything different? Why would it be any different? But I thought that I was going to get a freewheeling space game, much in the same way as in Skyrim, where I just fucking come out the cave and just go toodaloo and just fucking leg it off in any direction and just see what comes up. There isn't that kind of freedom here for me, where I can't just sort of just wander aimlessly and find things and just go full sort of murder hobo in any direction, that's fine. It is what it is. But I think that because they kept saying this is our first new world, universe, whatever, in X years, I thought that their marketing may have been slightly misleading. Not really, because I guess technically if you hear the words they said, they didn't say this game is vastly different to any other games. The setting's vastly different, and I'm not even going to moan about that it isn't different, because I don't care that it took 7 years to bring out. Clearly they used their existing toolset to make a new game in a new universe with a new narrative and all new assets and all stuff, and that stuff will take time. And judging by what I've heard other people say, there's obviously is a lot of content in there, and that's where 7 years of development went into it. Maybe people were putting 2 and 2 together and getting 5 because you thought you were going to get something new. Now, a lot of people probably play it and won't give a fuck, and they'll just think it's great, and that's fine, that's cool. But for me, very early on, I started to feel the drag even though I was just automatically like shooting every miner in the face with my laser cutter from the word go. I still didn't really feel that sort of level of freedom. I couldn't be a mindless idiot, but I was willing to kind of keep going. And it ain't like, it's not bad, so I kept going, but I was very irritated by just things just felt a bit unwieldy, not explained very well. I was getting very frustrated trying to find places around New Atlas, around the city. It didn't feel like things were, you know, I was just like, something would point me to a lift and then not tell me where the fuck I needed to go after I got to the lift. Like, just probably my fault more than anything else. But it was just irritating. And at the 3 hour mark, I was probably ready to jack it in, to be honest, other than the fact that I'd spent all that time fucking moving shit around and migrating shit onto my external drive in order to fit it, and because I kept hearing people saying that it would get better and stuff. And, you know, I play a lot of MMOs, I hear that all the time, it gets better after however many hours. So I did want to give it a fair shake, and so I did keep coming back to it each day, and I played it for another couple of hours each day. And at times, there were some times where I started to accept that I know what this is now. This is just like an RPG setting, a space setting. And so at the odd time, I was sort of like wandering through with Sarah, whatever her name is, and we're shooting shit, and I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm having a little bit of fun now. But it became apparent to me that, like, even though the gunplay is much better than, say, Fallout, I'm not gonna like repeat it when it goes on about like VATS. I mean, I fucking forget to use VATS in Fallout a lot of the time. But you know, it's not. It is just generally it's probably the best gunplay Bethesda have made, maybe, unless they've made better in games I haven't played. But I've had a go at all the Fallout games that they've made, and you know that's about it really. So it is kind of better, but it wasn't great. Like, considering that I accepted, well, that's the main part of it. That part, and probably more so, the main narrative and the story, which, again, maybe it's slow to get going. I don't know how long it takes to finish the whole story, but I was kind of like a little bit bored of it. Especially early on, it's a bit just sort of sci-fi tropes, to me anyway. And given that I've been playing Baldur's Gate, and bearing in mind that I don't really usually care too much about story, I'm very much a text skipper. Baldur's Gate, having everything voiced and everything, that kind of dragged me in, and I really got into the story there and like listening to the different options and stuff. And probably because of the way you play that as a CRPG, you know, like if I'm playing a game like that, then I'm just sitting back in my chair, I'm using one hand on the mouse, I'm kind of relaxing, and I'm primed for paying attention. Whereas when I'm in a game where I'm using keyboard and mouse to move around in first person and interact with things, I want a kind of a bit of immediacy, and I just kept getting frustrated. Felt like I was being slowed down by stuff. I mean, I didn't even really care. I really abandoned any hopes of like a sort of like a I'm gonna fly my ship everywhere very early on, and just said, oh, fuck it, I'll just fast travel, I don't really mind, it's fine. I've got the gist of what I think this game is. But bearing in mind that I really enjoyed this, I'm really enjoying the story of Baldur's Gate, I ain't got time for being fucking into another narrative, no matter how good it may well get. You know, I mean, I played the early access of Baldur's Gate, but then when it actually fully released, you know, I played that and I got instantly kind of like getting sucked into that story or wanted to know more, and I started thinking about how characters were interacting with each other and stuff like that, and building my own head canon for shit. So I was being invested in it, whereas I just didn't, like, and early on as well, whereas I didn't feel like that at all with this. I just felt like it was, it's just like plodding. And if I'm going to shoot guns in space, like, I think personally I'd prefer to just play Destiny 2, where I can just like shoot stupidly crazy weird guns in space, a bit more colourful and stuff like that. If I'm going to get a narrative, I'd rather get Larian's narrative. Like, I feel like they've done the best job of narrative that anyone has done for me personally, because like I said, I bounce off most story bits. I just want to play the game. And obviously, even though it's not the best game, No Man's Sky does space travel even better than this. And I think a lot of people thought they were going to get that. So much so that like early on, I started thinking, maybe I'll install No Man's Sky again. I'll have another go on that. It's changed a lot since I first downloaded it. I mean, I remember buying a PS4 just because I heard about that game coming out. And it was fucking boring at the beginning, although I kind of enjoyed it a bit. But they've kept updating it, and so I always pop back in every now and then, and it's just like I play MMOs, I play a lot of Guild Wars 2 and some Warcraft on the side, and I always thought I've not got time to fucking bother getting like really involved in No Man's Sky. What I want from No Man's Sky is I just want to fucking fly around, and so because it doesn't really do any of those kind of elements, I just felt like the game was slipping away from me more and more. But I could overlook the dodgy parts of this game and just say, well, it's fine. It's just mediocre. It is what it is. It's just the game's fine. I'm not enjoying it. I'm not really enjoying it like I did with some other games. But I can carry on playing. And then I got to a point where I had to go and fly to. I met Sam Coe, and I had to go and fly to a killer city or whatever it's called. I can't even be bothered to look it up to find out. And I landed on that city, and like I said, my computer isn't complete potato, but it ain't the best. But fucking everything just ground to a fucking halt. And the frame rate's dropping crazy, and just it was, the input lag was so bad, and textures popping in and that, and I was just like, oh fuck it, fuck off. And that was it, and that's when I did the uninstall. And it's I think that probably I'll come back to this at some other point in time, maybe. I'm sure they'll sort of polish things up, but I think that the hype got too big on this one for me personally. Loads of other people seem to stick it out, but maybe I've just got no fucking patience. Maybe it's me and not the game, but a lot of other people seem to feel similar. But yeah, just a giant fucking pile of stinking mediocrity. And conceptually, it was everything, potentially, and it just didn't live up to the hype for me. So, pretty shit. But I got a lot of space back on my hard drive, so I'm going to go back and finish Baldur's Gate. I don't know, disappointing. All I wanted to do was just mindlessly roam through space, just smashing shit up. So you know what I did when I uninstalled the game? I went back, I reinstalled No Man's Sky, which at 15 gig is way more accommodating. I then I started a new game and a custom setting, and I left things broadly at the norm, only I just gave myself unlimited ship fuel and hyper engines or whatever, so it won't get in the way of me just fucking flying about, and I can play the game the way I want to play it and just fly aimlessly around doing whatever. And so that's what I did. I uninstalled Starfield, I reinstalled No Man's Sky, I got in my fucking ship and I flew to the moon. That's not crypto reference, fuck crypto.